About 9 o'clock, the light among the trees was extinguished, and all was dark in the direction of the manor house. 2 hours passed slowly away, and then, suddenly, just at the stroke of 11, a single bright light shone out right in front of us.
That is our signal. It comes from the middle window.
As we passed out, he exchanged a few words with the landlord, explaining that we were going on a late visit to an acquaintance, and it was possible we might spend the night there. A moment later we were out in the dark road, a chill wind blowing in our faces, and one yellow light twinkling in front of us through the gloom to guide us on our somber errand. There was little difficulty entering the grounds, for unrepaired breaches gaped the old park wall. Making our way among the trees, we reached the lawn, crossed it, and were about to enter through the windows when, out of the clump of laurel bushes, there darted what seemed to be a hideous and distorted child, who threw itself upon the grass with writhing limbs and then ran swiftly across the lawn into the darkness. My God, did you see it?
It is a nice household. That is the baboon.
I had forgotten the strange pets which the doctor affected. There was a cheetah, too. Perhaps we might find it upon our shoulders at any moment. I confess that I felt easier in my mind when, after following Holmes' example and slipping off my shoes, I found myself inside the bedroom. My companion noiselessly closed the shutters, moved the lamp onto the table, and cast his eyes round the room. All was as we had seen it in the daytime. Then creeping up to me and making a trumpet of his hand, he whispered into my ear again so gently that it was all I could do to distinguish the words.
The least sound would be fatal to our plans. We must sit without light. He would see it through the ventilator. Do not go asleep. Your very life may depend on it. Have your pistol ready in case we should need it. I will sit on the side of the bed, and you in the chair.
I took out my revolver and laid it on the corner of the table, and Holmes had brought up a long thin cane, and this he placed upon the bed beside him. By it he laid the box of matches and the stump of a candle. He turned down the lamp, and we were left in darkness. How shall I ever forget that dreadful vigil? I could not hear a sound, not even the drawing of a breath, yet I knew that my companion sat open-eyed within a few feet of me, the same state of nervous tension in which I was myself. The shutters cut off the least ray of light, and we waited in absolute darkness. From outside came the occasional cry of a night bird, and once at our very window was a long-drawn cat-like whine, which told us that the cheetah was indeed at liberty. Far away we could hear the deep tones of the parish clock, which boomed out every quarter of an hour. How long they seemed, those quarters. 12 struck, and 1, and 2, and 3, and still we sat waiting silently for whatever might befall. Suddenly, there was a momentary gleam of light up in the direction of the ventilator, which vanished immediately, but it was succeeded by a strong smell of burning oil and heated metal. Someone in the next room had lit a dark lantern. I heard a gentle sound of movement, and then all was silent once more, though the smell grew stronger. For half an hour I sat with straining ears. Then suddenly another sound became audible, a very gentle, soothing sound, like that of a small jet of steam escaping continually from a kettle. The instant that we heard it, Holmes sprang from the bed, struck a match, and lashed furiously with his cane at the bell pull.
You see it, Watson! You see it!
I see nothing! The moment when Holmes struck the light, I heard a low, clear whistle. But the sudden glare flashing into my weary eyes made it impossible for me to tell what was that my friend lashed so savagely. I could, however, see that his face was deadly pale and filled with horror and loathing. They say away down in the village, and even in the distant parsonage, that cry raised the sleepers from their bed. It struck cold to our hearts, and I stood gazing at Holmes and he at me, until the last echoes of it had died away into the silence from which it rose. What can it mean?
It means that it is all over, and perhaps after all, it is for the best. Take your pistol, and we will enter Dr. Roylett's room.
It was a singular sight which met our eyes. On the table stood a dark lantern with the shutter half open, throwing a brilliant beam of light upon the iron safe, the door of which was ajar. Beside this table, on the wooden chair, sat Dr. Grimsby Roylott, clad in a long grey dressing gown, his bare ankles protruding beneath, and his feet thrust into red heelless Turkish slippers. Across his lap lay the short stock with the long lash which we noticed during the day. His chin was cocked upward, and his eyes were fixed in a dreadful, rigid stare at the corner of the ceiling. Round his brow he had a peculiar yellow band, with brownish speckles, which seemed to be bound tightly round his head. As we entered, he made neither sound nor motion.
The band! The speckled band!
A serpent! Look, you can see the head.
It is a swamp adder, the deadliest snake in India. He has died within 10 seconds of being bitten. Violence does, in truth, recoil upon the violent, and the schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another. Let us thrust this creature back into its den, and we can then remove Miss Stoner to some place of shelter, and let the county police know what has happened.
As he spoke, he drew the dogwood swiftly from the dead man's lap, and throwing the noose around the reptile's neck, he drew it from its horrid perch, and carrying it at arm's length, threw it into the iron safe, which he closed upon it. Such are the true facts of the death of Dr. Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran. The little which I have yet to learn of the case was told to me by Sherlock Holmes as we travelled back the next day.
I come to an entirely erroneous conclusion, which shows, my dear Watson, how dangerous it is to reason from insufficient data. The presence of the gypsies, and the use of the word band, which was used by the poor girl, no doubt to explain the appearance which she had caught a hurried glimpse of by the light of her match, was sufficient to put me upon an entirely wrong scent. I can only claim the merit that I instantly reconsidered my position when, however, it became clear to me that whatever danger threatened an occupant of the room could not come either from the window or the door. My attention was speedily drawn, as I have already remarked to you, to this ventilator and to the bell rope which hung down to the bed. The discovery that this was a dummy, and the bed was clamped to the floor, instantly gave rise to the suspicion that the rope was there as a bridge for something passing through the hole and coming to the bed. The idea of a snake instantly occurred to me, and when I coupled it with my knowledge that the doctor was furnished with a supply from creatures of India, I felt that I was probably on the right track. The idea of using a form of poison which could not possibly be discovered by any chemical test was just such as one would occur to a clever and ruthless man who had an Eastern training. The rapidity with which such a poison would take would also, from his point of view, be an advantage. It would be a sharp-eyed coroner, indeed, who could distinguish the two little dark punctures which would show where the poisoned fangs had done their work. Then I thought of the whistle. Of course, he must recall the snake before the morning light revealed it to the victim. He had trained it, probably by the use of milk which we saw, to return to him when summoned. He would put it through the ventilator at the hour when he thought best, with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupant. Perhaps she might escape for every night for a week, but sooner or later she must fall victim. I'd come to these conclusions before ever had I entered this room. An inspection of his chair showed me that he had been in the habit of standing on it, which, of course, would be necessary in order that he should reach the ventilator. The sight of the safe, the saucer of milk, and the loop of the whipcord were enough to finally dispel any doubts which may have remained. The metallic clang heard by Miss Stoner was obviously caused by her stepfather hastily closing the door of his safe upon its terrible occupant. Having once made up my mind, you know the steps which I took in order to put the matter to proof. I heard the creature hiss, as I have no doubt that you did also, and I instantly lit the light and attacked it.
With the result of driving it through the ventilator.
And also with the result of causing it to turn upon its master at the other side. Some of the blows of my cane came at home and roused its snakish temper, so that it flew upon the first person it saw. In this way, I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby Roylott's death, and I cannot say that it is likely to weigh very heavily upon my conscience.
And that was The Adventure of the Speckled Band, as originally written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, adapted for radio by myself, like most of the plays have been. So, we are not actually going to do any antics tonight. We're going to go ahead and cut it. I'm going to go and get the recording ready, and there's really not going to be much more to Nerd Squad Radio Theater after this little segment. So, the cast of The Adventure of the Speckled Band: Sherlock Holmes was played by Matt Donnelly, John Watson by myself, Alex McConnell, Dr. Grimsby Roylott by Chance Rigdon, Helen Stoner by Angel Lapointe, Julia Stoner by Meg Burnett, and the cabbie was Micah Mangiamelli. So we have two exciting things to announce for Nerd Squad Radio Theater, do we not? Angel,
do.
why don't you make the one about you first?
Okay, so I finally got the chance to adapt one. Alex has been adapting the rest. Next week, we are doing Dr. Dolittle, which is one that I have adapted. And that is going to be epic because it's the first one I did, and everybody better listen to that or else I will get angry with
It's a
them.
massive cast.
It is.
I would actually invite you to be in it, Mr. Donnelly, but apparently you have pit band practice during that time.
Yes, I do.
Which is unfortunate
sad.
because we kind of need a Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah, we have somebody who may be Dr. Dolittle, but we're not certain that he's coming. So I have to find a Dr. Dolittle in case Dr. Williams can't make it.
Dr. Williams probably can't make it. I'm going to ask Aaron tonight, and if
Yeah.
he's able to do it, I'll just go ahead and tell Dr. Williams that he's not exactly needed for this.
Yeah, because Dr. Williams is, not her, Dr. Dolittle is a very kind of important role in Dr. Dolittle.
Somewhat, I would say. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle is next week's radio play, but this weekend, homecoming weekend,
This is exciting.
this is very exciting. We are very glad to announce that a old friend of ours from last year, is coming back for homecoming and wanted to do a radio play. So we are happy to announce that we shall be hearing, as performed by William Travis Graham, Beowulf.
That's going to be epic.
Beowulf, starring Travis Graham as Beowulf, Rory McCamus as Hrothgar, Micah here as Unferth, myself as Wiglaf, and Angel as Queen Wilthrow. Also various people as the random horrible monsters that Beowulf fights.
I'll be Grendel.
He'll be Grendel.
And I have one line as Grendel's mother.
Yeah. And he's also the dragon. So basically you're going to hear...
Micah
Dragon.
gets to give several terrifying noises.
Yes, Micah and Travis both. You get to hear in the background all this horrible screaming and yelling between these two. It's going to be hilarious.
That's going to be pleasant.
It's going to be fantastic is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that is next week's radio play. I mean, this weekend's radio play,
Yeah,
actually.
this weekend.
4
Saturday.
o'clock on Saturday, unless things have changed. Watch the Nerd Squad, the Radio Theater Facebook page for updates. I will be sure to let you know. And,
Jungle Book will be up there. We lost the recording last week.
yes, unfortunately. So we will be
We're
re-recording
re-recording
Jungle
that.
Book.
So it will be up there.
Unfortunately, Dr. Williams will not be available to reprise his role as Baloo.
So Baloo will be played by
Travis
Graham.
I know, isn't it great?
Wow.
Matt,
Not really sure how to respond to that.
you really are not supposed to be able to respond to that. It's too awesome. So Travis Graham will be playing Baloo. He, thankfully, will be able to get the rest of the cast back, right, Micah?
Right.
Okay. And Angel?
I'm definitely going to be there. I have no life.
This is true.
Except on Sunday when my mom's coming.
Yeah.
So then I'll have a life.
Yeah, I have no life either. Really, this is pretty much all I've been doing for the last, month. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to adapt one.
Really? Well, I have a pile of books in my room. You can pick one. I really don't care.
I feel like doing King Solomon's Mines. Or possibly Wizard of Oz?
I'm adapting Wizard of Oz. End of story. You can adapt King Solomon's Mines if you want.
Curses.
Seriously though, it's available for you if you want.
I'd be the wizard. Always the wizard.
The Wizard in Wizard of Oz? No, I've already called that one actually.
Come on.
No, you are born to be the Scarecrow.
Yes.
true.
Micah Scarecrow.
I
Yay.
want-
Micah
Great.
Scarecrow.
3 guesses who I'm going to be in Wizard of Oz.
Exactly. Yeah, Micah Scarecrow. Chance probably is the Tin Man. How great will that be?
That'll be awesome.
And I don't know who we're going to do as Cowardly Lion yet. I might change the gender of that one, or I might just cast Rory.
Rory is Cowardly
Or who?
Lion.
Yeah. Yeah. You've already done it once, pretty much.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so thanks for listening to Nerd Squad Radio Theater. We
Please
are going
continue to do so for the rest of your lives.
One
Pretty
more
much.
thought. It strikes me that zombies and the Scarecrow have a lot in common. They both want brains.
Ow. Oh, that's right. I do have a joke for you. I have a joke for you.
Oh.
Okay, so
Yes.
once upon a time, Sherlock Holmes and Watson were camping. And Sherlock Holmes looked up and says, "Look at the stars, Watson. and tell me what you think, what they mean to you. And Watson says, well, Mr. Holmes, I see that the stars are so numerous, and our sun is but one of them, and we are but little gnats, less than gnats even, in the course of the universe. There's not much we can do that can affect all of this magnificence. But what does it mean to you, Mr. Holmes? And Holmes says, to me, Mr. Watson, it means that someone has stolen our tent.
Which goes to show you don't think too strongly on things. Sometimes the simplest answer is the best.
Occam's razor.
Yep.
And with that, we will leave you to continue listening to WTXR. You're going to have a bunch of station IDs playing. Just kind of get over it. I can't get rid of them. Thank you.